The Nintendo Switch has games. Lots of games. I'm sure 40 years from now, I'm probably going to look back at the system's launch and think, wow, this is where it all went wrong. But regardless, the Switch's massive library of both first, third-party, and indie titles may be its most defining perk. I mean, why else would we spend $300 on this stupid pile of garbage if we didn't have a compelling reason to do so? And as you may know, the Switch has exactly that. So many classics, so many gems, so many of this. It's terrible, I love it. But if I had to break down a comprehensive list of the 10 best games on the system, what would they be? Well, you're in luck, because that's exactly what this video is all about. For today, I'm going to break down my top 10 favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. Doesn't matter what kinds, as long as they will play on the Switch, they'll qualify. Though I will make an exception, being Breath of the Wild. This game might be on the Switch, meaning it does qualify for the list, but it is also a Wii U game too, and 12-year-old me didn't have a Switch around the time of Breath of the Wild's release and instead played it on the system that he already had. I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, and I couldn't be any more ashamed, meaning because I wasted all my years of playing this incredible masterpiece on the Wii U instead of the Switch, I'm not going to include it here. I'm sorry, Breath of the Wild fans. I failed you. But yeah, will not be here, so just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that this list is mine and mine only. So naturally, my opinions will be different from everyone else's. And one final thing to discuss. This list isn't really in any particular order, at least until we get to the number 1 spot. So if you're furiously shouting, why the hell is 1-2 Switch higher than Luigi's Mansion 3 on this list, you'll know why. That won't be on the list, by the way, mainly because that game is garbage. I mean, come on, I gotta have some dignity. But without further ado, let's get on to the list now. Man, this is gonna be a long day. Number 10. August 2017 was not only the start of my 7th grade school year, but it was also the launch of Sonic Mania. Now, I'm not the biggest Sonic fan out there, and I still have yet to play Sonic Frontiers. However, we gotta give some appreciation to this appreciation of classic Sonic. This incredible 2D platformer is meant to be a love letter to classic Sonic with its zones, graphics, even its level design. There's just a lot to love about this fast-paced and adrenaline-pumping game that is fun in every possible way. It's not a very long game, but that only adds to its pros with giving you a ton of replayability here. You can unlock a secret ending, play the entire game as Sonic, Tails, or both, or even just Knuckles. Sonic Mania is great, and I am so glad the next Sonic game that came out after it followed up on its awesomeness. Yep, it sure did. Number 9. The Legend of Zelda is a great franchise. What makes it even more exciting is the fact that I get to say that Breath of the Wild wasn't the only masterpiece on Switch. We also got the Link's Awakening remake in September 2019. The first fully portable Zelda game is remade here, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Everything about it just screams charming. The art style, the music, the dungeons, it's all remade incredibly. And the dungeon builder they implemented into this game wasn't great, but Link's Awakening is just unbelievably good. And sure, not everything about it is flawless, but it is still one of the very best reasons to be excited for the Switch throughout 2019, along with the handful of other games that made that year very exciting for Switch, because who the hell cared about New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe? Oh wait. Number 8. Minecraft. What else can be said that hasn't already been said before about this treat of a game? Yeah, I know the Switch version is far from the ideal way to play, which makes it even funnier when you consider I'm putting it on this list. There goes my reputation. But I love Minecraft, man. There's no limit to what you can build. There's no restrictions, no boundaries, just go and build whatever is on your mind. It's amazing. You could also do survival, and that's fun in and of itself, but I personally prefer creative. And Minecraft was actually the first game I got for my Switch in November 2018. And yeah, it's not the ideal version of the game, it is on the Switch after all, but hey, for getting a portable version of one of the very best games of all time, it does the job and is a lot of fun. We don't talk about Pocket Edition here. Number 7. Coming right off the heels of Minecraft, here we have yet another game that encourages you to build at your own free will, being Super Mario Maker 2. Mario Maker 2 was yet another 2019 Switch game that blew me away on levels I didn't even think was possible. Don't get me wrong, the original Mario Maker on Wii U was great, but Maker 2 makes it look like an early tech demo by comparison with how much more content there is here, both with making and playing. For making, there's new elements like the seesaw, Boom Boom, the moves, a new art style designed entirely around Mario 3D World, and even a world map builder. For the playing side, there's a full-on story mode filled to the brim with Nintendo-made stages, local and online multiplayer which could be far better. There's even an endless challenge which is basically the 100 Mario challenge from the original, except now there's no end to it. Why couldn't Mario Odyssey be like that? And if all that on its own somehow wasn't enough, you got like a billion user-made stages to play through also. There's really no limit to how much replay value Mario Maker 2 has, and is still phenomenal 3.5 years later. Mario Maker 3, please and thank you. Number 6. Arguably the best fighting game ever made, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is simply a pleasure and a half from Masahiro Sakurai and his development team. This game takes everything that made the past Smash Bros. Games excellent and made them even more excellent. The massive roster of fighters all across gaming, the ginormous number of stages, a massive single-player campaign that makes the Subspace Emissary look minuscule when compared side by side, fun side modes, and online multiplayer that actually doesn't suck. Well, for me at least, I don't know about anyone else. And it's crazy to think just how far this game has gone with all of its DLC and post-launch updates. It's just so good and so much fun, and is easily the best fighting game ever made. Number 5. Now, I know there's been a lot of Mario games on this list, and would you be surprised if I said there was still more? But come on. If you love 3D Mario, there's a pretty good chance that you'll utterly enjoy yourself with this Wii U to Nintendo Switch port. They could have just been lazy and did the bare minimum with this remaster by just bringing in a few minor adjustments and calling it a day and charge full price for it. But in a surprising turn of events, that's not the case. Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is a great example of showing how in an era where Nintendo mostly does the bare minimum with their re-releases and charges full price for them, as if they're brand new games, which they're not, they could still put out some surprises every now and then. So much was made here to make sure this was the definitive version of 3D World. Faster running speeds for characters, online multiplayer, snapshot mode, even amiibo support. Not good amiibo support, but hey, Nintendo still acknowledges amiibo 8 years after their release, so, you know, it's the sentiment that counts. And they could have just stopped there, but they then decided to include a brand new, albeit short, single-player campaign that's basically a non-linear version of 3D World that's also great in its own right. Revamping 3D World to perfection would have already made this worth its asking price alone. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but add a second game to the package and yeah, it's not even a contest. This is probably one of the best values you could probably find on the Nintendo Switch. Number 4. Super Mario 3D World isn't the only Wii U to Switch port that has been done incredibly well. We also have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The original was among the best of the Wii U's catalog. However, though, it wasn't flawless. There were a few minor flaws with the game, but the biggest flaw was easily the battle mode. It sucked. Thankfully, in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all that has been addressed and more. For being the first Wii U port on Switch, I think it was pretty good. Not only did they improve some things, they also added to this package with new characters being Bowser Jr. and King Boo, and also the Inklings from Splatoon. New features like smart steering and auto acceleration. They even improved the battle mode, and it's a lot of fun now. But everything else about the game is still Mario Kart 8 at the end of the day. Mario Kart has been made the jump to portable form before this, but just the fact that you can now bring a fully fledged home console Mario Kart game with you anywhere is simply insane. Do Mario Kart Wii next, you cowards. And it's even crazier that the game is still getting new tracks 5 years after its initial release with the Boosted Course DLC pack, which will last until the end of 2023. Do yourselves a favor, give Mario Kart 8 Deluxe a try, because believe me, most people haven't played the original, mainly because it was on the Wii U, and who still owns one of those? I can explain. Number 3. So Luigi is no stranger to getting his own spin-offs, with the first two Luigi's Mansion games as proof. But Luigi's Mansion 3 ups the ante in oh so many ways. This is unbelievably one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. The first two Luigi's Mansion games were great fun, don't get me wrong, But Luigi's Mansion 3 is just so much better, man. I'm sorry, those are just the rules around these parts. This game looks absolutely stunning. Probably the best looking Nintendo game ever made. The animations, lighting, the personality, it's all here and looks stellar. The gameplay and gameplay mechanics introduced here are very fun to use. The slamming, the burst, Gooigi, it's all incredibly solid and loads of fun. There's also the puzzles themselves, and yeah, those are really good too. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a game that was handled with so much care and perfection that, in my completely honest opinion, is probably just one of the best games ever made, and it even gives me hope that the sequel will be even better. Number 2. Now, it might seem absolutely criminal to not feature the best 2D Metroid game in the number 1 spot, but hey, I stand by my choice. Metroid Dread is the first original 2D Metroid game we've had in almost 20 years, and it's a darn fine one. The visuals are great, the level design and exploration are great and interesting, puzzles are satisfying to solve, the difficulty is cracked up pretty high, which depending on who you are, that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, though I could definitely appreciate some form of challenge. Mostly. And the new Emmy mechanic adds some very strategic stealth missions to the package. Now, the game's not flawless. The difficulty could be a bit much at points. No spoilers here, don't you worry. The Emmy are great, but they do outstay their welcome a tad bit. And the music, while it's nothing terrible, lacks anything memorable about it aside from the remixed main theme. But these are really just minor complaints. Dread is great, and you definitely owe it to yourself to give it a try. Number 1. This is probably a surprise to no one, mainly because I made a video about it a few months back, but here we have Super Mario Odyssey, the best Nintendo Switch game ever made in my opinion. Super Mario Odyssey is loads of fun, even after 5 long years of desperately waiting for a sequel which we never got and probably never will. It's tough being a Mario fan. But basically, Mario Odyssey goes back to the classic 3D Mario roots of 64 and Sunshine, but goes so much further than those games ever could. With more than triple the amount of collectibles, much more open and incredibly fun level designs, a new gameplay mechanic that lets you control enemies just by tossing your cap at them, Super Mario Odyssey, while there are a few minor flaws with the game, it simply doesn't excuse it from being the best 3D Mario has been in a very, very long time, and I simply cannot wait to see where the 3D Mario team goes from here. Now, I know we're done with the list, but I wanted to at least give a few honorable mentions to games that, while I do think are good at the very least, they just didn't hit the mark enough to be on this list. Just kidding, they're all trash. Nintendo Switch Sports, a fun sports game that unfortunately never felt substantial enough for its worth to be justified. WarioWare Get It Together, a great time, but to me the short campaign coupled with not having much else to do afterwards left me feeling like there just wasn't enough here. Mario Party Superstars. Honestly, this game should have just been on this list because it's loads of fun with friends and super fun in general, but I felt like there were other games that deserved the spot on the list more. Also because there were too many Mario games on this list too. Whoops. And finally, Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle, a great turn-based strategy game as a mashup between Mario and the Rabbids that eventually got a sequel 5 years later, being Sparks of Hope. Much like Mario Party, this game was definitely deserving of making the list for being so quirky and unique for the Mario series, but I felt like the other games mentioned on this list were just a bit better, so I at least wanted to give it some form of representation, and that's why I gave it and all the other games here an honorable mention. And that's my top 10 Nintendo Switch games list. Yeah, I know the list of games I chose was kinda trash with a good majority of them being Mario games, but this is my list. Let me do what I want. And again, this was in no particular order, so you don't have to worry that I only put Smash Ultimate in the number 6 spot when I put Luigi's Mansion 3 in the number 3 spot. And no 1-2 switch in sight. Now you gotta say the list was good. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully there were some games here that you thought were deserving of being among the 10 best games on the system. And feel free to tell me down below what your favorite Switch games are too. So until next time, have a safe and amazing rest of the year, and take care everybody. I forgot to include a joke at the end. Are you kidding me? And that's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos on my channel where you'll find more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.